What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to my boss fight guide for Dark Souls 3. In this episode, I'm super excited to bring you the Father Ariandel and Sister Friede boss fight guide. This boss fight kicked my butt the first time I played through it. It is a 3-stage boss fight, so a ton of work to do, but it is very rewarding. You'll notice the fog gate is up. I've actually not attempted this before. I ran through this whole thing, talked to you guys, and then forgot to summon Gael, and I want to do that for this guide. So speaking of Gael, he's going to be right here. Now, there's something to note about Gael. If you go to the Ring City DLC first and you kick his butt, he won't be available for a summon, and you'll be forced to either do it yourself or have a friend come in. So if you want help on this, you're gonna have to wait for the Ring City DLC. Now, as I said, this boss fight is 3 phases. So both Sister Friede and Father Ariandel are weak to dark damage and to lightning damage. They're fairly weak to just about everything, except Sister Friede is, of course, very resistant to magic, and she is immune to frostbite, because she's going to be running around trying to frostbite you this entire time. It's going to be annoying. So, I've chosen the Onyx Blade. I would highly recommend this weapon if you don't have it. Well, you should, actually, because you have to defeat, I think it's Vilheim, and you will get that blade from him. So I would highly recommend this for this fight, because it is a light and long-reaching weapon. As for my rings, I'm choosing the Ring of the Sun's Firstborn, so that in the 3rd phase, when Gael is with me, and we're fighting Blackflame, which is the hardest part of the boss fight, maybe I can get some long-range Sunlight Spears in. Now, if you're not a Miracle build, here's what I'd recommend you do, because it's going to tie into the second part of the strategy. Come over here and get Aldrich's Ruby. Recover HP from critical attacks. That's going to help you out, because Sister Friede's actually really easy to backstab, especially in the 1st phase. That's why I had the Hornet Ring on. I would highly recommend you do that. For my 3rd slot, I have Dark Damage Boost to help with my Onyx Blade and the Florin 3 Ring. Now, to touch lightly on strategy, the 1st phase is just going to be you and Sister Friede. She's going to be running around trying to frostbite you, swinging a big old scythe at you, and going invisible, which is a little annoying, but if you stay on her, she won't turn invisible. And she will go through phases and little action scenes where she, like, breathe in, really hard. And at that point, you can actually swing around and backstab her. So that's actually a very neat little trick and will help you out a lot, which is why we have the Hornet Ring on. The 2nd phase is going to be Father Ariandel and Sister Friede together. Sister Friede can heal him, but that's when Gael is going to come in and help us out. And honestly, you don't have to worry about Sister Friede too much. She will shoot frost at you. It's just something to keep in mind. But you want to stay and tackle Father Ariandel because he's very easy and a very large target to hit. You'll just have to avoid his giant pot. Hello. Now, the 3rd phase, like I said, is going to be the hardest phase. You're going to go back to just you and Sister Friede again, but she's going to get a lot of dark damage boost on her attacks, and she's going to be running around, swinging around, and it's actually very hard. I think I failed maybe 30 times my first time going through this, so I didn't have Gael, and I did manage to get it down eventually, and that's kind of when I created the strategy using Gael. And on the 3rd phase of the boss fight, if you have him, you can actually have him take her aggro and run up right behind her and backstab her. It's actually pretty funny, and it's a very easy strategy. Might be the easiest strategy that I've seen personally for this boss fight, so that's what we're going to be showing you today. So that being said, I'm going to shut my mouth and we're going to get started. Now remember, he's going to be only in the 2nd and 3rd phases, so it's just going to be you and Sister Friede. If the boss fog's not up, you go over there to Father Ariandel to talk to him, and that will start the boss fight. We're going to go ahead and buff up. I am going to choose my weapon damage over my shield buff, since she's not going to do too much stamina damage. Or at least she didn't in New Game. Keep in mind, this is New Game Plus, so we're going to see how I fare. Now, in this, I would recommend you come right up to her and stay on her. As you can see, even with the shield, you are going to take some chip damage, and you will take frost damage. Now, she is easy to stagger. You can see there's the invisible, but she is trackable. Now there you can backstab her. If she hits you with that, it will go through your shield. So next time she does that, we're going to get a good backstab in. I wouldn't recommend you try and backstab unless she's in that very long animation. As you can see, she's quite easy to stagger. And you can see as you approach her, there's the animation. That table was in the way. Now as you roll, that's kind of a hard thing to roll. As you can see, it's very easy to still get you, even if you've played this fight 100 times. Her attacks are quite long-reaching, so keep that in mind. Here it is. And there's the backstab. Quite easy. We're going to take this time to buff while she's down. We're going to see if we can finish her off. You can see, if you get the timing right on that swipe and you miss it, it's not too bad to dodge. You can see she will jump just out of your range. And now we're done. I'm going to go ahead and top off. Nope, didn't quite get it. Father Ariandel is going to get quite mad. I'm going to go ahead and skip through this because it's quite loud. I don't want to bust you guys' eardrums out. And now Gael is going to come in. As you can see, it's this Phantom Knight Gael summon. And Sister Friede is already focused on her. So I'm going to top off for real this time. And I'm actually going to have to sacrifice that. Let's Sacred Oaths first. Always remember to do weapon buffs last. It is very easy to forget. Now I am going to stay on him because I do not want Gael to die for this phase, because that would be rough for phase 2. I'm going to go ahead and grab some aggro from Father Ariandel. As you can see, you can stay right behind him. Just gotta watch and make sure that she's not over there, trying to stab you right in the back. Now, you can stagger him, as you can see. I'm just gonna go ahead and... She was healing him. You can see there, in the bottom left-hand corner, his health was going up, but luckily with Gael and me there, we were actually able to outdo the healing factor, and you will get a slab the first time you do this, and only the first time. So I'm gonna try and buff Gael here. I got him. That's excellent. That's excellent. Now I'm going to try and show you guys the strategy. I'm going to let Gael... I think she might be on... Nope. Now once her... You can see that. You just go right up behind her, backstab her. Now once you do that, her aggro will be back on you. So just be careful. Watch that ice. Don't stand directly in it. It will build up frost extremely quickly. Gael actually knows where she is too. Now don't get too greedy. Again, just stay around behind her, let them duke it out. Again, doing 1,000 damage per backstab is not too bad. Now remember, aggro's back on you now. I'll show you how to dodge those attacks. Are a little bit more tricky, which is why I prefer the shield. Remember, you can't always dodge everything. Now, once you're frostbitten, you will take some extra damage. Keep that in mind. Just me now. You can see the dust. There's you. That hurts. Now this fight, it can be tricky to heal from. Oops. You can see just how long that frost region. This is my attack opportunity. Got it. Ooh. But you can see, even with a lot of practice, that boss fight is very, very tough. But if you can keep Gael alive and run around a backstabber, it's not too bad at all. But keep in mind that if Gael dies, you're going to have probably a much tougher time. But if you're on a new game and a new game plus like this, you should be able to kill her before Gael is dead. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.